Imagine you take a hit of computer duster while you're standing in just this bleak, sun-baked California drainage ditch.
Oh, yeah. Rough start.
Right, the world fractures into this, cartoony kaleidoscope, your sense of self completely shatters, and suddenly you are forced to play this rhythmic game of survival against a fifth-dimensional alien entity.
Just a standard Tuesday in Lancaster, basically.
Exactly. But now, I want you to imagine a highly credentialed ethnopharmacologist sitting in a perfectly quiet, pristine Berkeley laboratory.
Completely different vibe.
Totally. He smokes synthesized DMT, his reality shatters in the exact same way, but instead of, in different alien combatants, he encounters a squad of merry bouncing elves who are practically begging him to help create the universe.
Yeah, and it is the ultimate paradox of altered states. We're looking at two entirely distinct methods of breaking human consciousness. I mean, one is raw, dangerous, and very localized, and the other is this academic, highly controlled experiment.
Right.
Yet both of these sources seemingly maps the exact same impossible architecture of the universe next door.
Which is just wild. Now, if you're listening to this deep dive, you were probably thinking, okay, well, one guy smoked DMT and the other huffed computer cleaner. I mean, of course they saw crazy things, they're just hallucinations.
Sure, that's the natural assumption.
Yeah, but here is where the mechanics of what they actually saw get honestly impossible to ignore. Because since you're tuning in, you already know the chaotic lore of the legendary experimental duo, Five Starcle Men, or FSM.
You know Luke, you know Glenn, you know the whole Lancaster desert mythology.
We don't need to rehash all that,
Yeah.
but today our mission is a crossover event. We are colliding that raw desert punk lore with the high academic psychedelic theory of Terrance McKenna.
It's a fascinating intersection, really, because we have these highly subjective, localized accounts from teenagers in the Mojave Desert, and we are holding them up against one of the most famous, articulate psychedelic explorers of the 20th century.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have a central, evolving mystery today. We're looking at two separate groups of people who mapped an alien reality.
Right.
And we really need to figure out how they got there, what these entities actually are, and I think most importantly, how they survived the encounter.
Absolutely. And to start, I think we have to talk about the entities themselves.
Yes, so Terrance McKenna famously coined the term machine elves. What exactly was he seeing in that Berkeley lab?
Well, in his book True Hallucinations, McKenna describes bursting into a space inhabited by what he called merry elfin self-transforming machine creatures.
That's a mouthful.
It is, yeah. But he goes beyond just, calling them elves. He famously described them as looking like self-dribbling Fabergé eggs on the rebound.
Okay, I just have to pause on that image because it is so incredibly specific.
It really is.
Self-dribbling Fabergé eggs. It implies something highly ornate and fragile,
Yeah.
but also distinctly mechanical, right? Like it's bouncing around with a life of its own.
Exactly. It's not just some abstract geometric shape. It's a machine, but a machine with a personality. And the personality is crucial here. McKenna noted that these entities were actively, almost enthusiastically trying to communicate with him. They were babbling in a language he called ecstatic nostratic.
Ecstatic, nostratic.
Yeah, and this is where the physics of this space really begin to reveal themselves. This wasn't a spoken language as you and I understand it. It was a visible, five-dimensional form of language.
Wait, hold on. Visible language. You're losing me a bit. Are we talking about, seeing sound waves? Like synesthesia?
No, it's far more literal than that in McKenna's framework. He describes this language as being made of an obsidian froth that literally pours out of the entity's bodies during the trance.
Ooh, okay.
I know, but think about it. It's an extrusion of physical matter. They're literally speaking objects into existence.
That is wild. It's like 3D printing reality with your vocal cords.
Precisely. And they aren't just doing this for show. McKenna felt they were inviting him, practically demanding that he join them. They were urging him to sing himself into existence.
Man, it sounds like encountering a squad of hyperdimensional cheerleaders made of fractal geometry, and they just want you to join the reality-creating choir.
That is a surprisingly accurate way to picture it.
It's bizarre, but it is undeniably generative. It's a very welcoming, merry environment, just like he said.
Right.
Which brings up a massive question for us. If McKenna's elves are practically begging you to join their choir, what happens when you cross into this exact same fifth-dimensional space? But the entities they don't care about you at all.
Yeah, the tone shifts completely.
Because that perfectly describes the entities Luke and Glenn met out in Lancaster.
It is a stark transition, honestly, because in the FSM lore, the foundational entities are the Starcle Manee.
Right, the Starcle Manees.
Exactly. And Glenn explicitly claimed that FSM started when he and Luke looked up into the California sky and physically saw these Starcle Manees. The texts define them, just like McKenna's space, as fifth-dimensional aliens.
So on a dimensional level, they are operating in the exact same territory.
Yes.
But the philosophical framing is completely inverted. I mean, are FSM's Starcle Manee actually machine elves, just under a different name?
Well, what's fascinating here is how the relationship between human and entity changes.
Okay.
McKenna's elves are collaborative, right? They want you there. The FSM texts, however, describe the Starcle Manee as entities of which human beings are merely an overcoding, or perhaps it's the other way around.
Okay, let's unpack that specific word. Overcoding. That sounds like, I don't know, bloated software. Are they saying humans are just a corrupted, incredibly dense zip file of these alien entities?
That is an excellent analogy. It implies a very mechanical, systemic view of existence. If we are the bloated software, they are the raw, pure, indifferent code running underneath reality.
Wow.
And because they're just raw code, they lack all of the emotional warmth of McKenna's elves. The FSM text literally states about the Starcle Manee, quote, "There is no good or bad, so instead they are."
Instead they are just pure, chilling, indifferent existence.
Yeah.
And if you dig deeper into Luke's writings, it gets substantially darker than that. You don't see Mary Fabergé eggs. You see references to the drugged alien death god.
Right, which is terrifying.
It is. You see a lore obsessed with being possessed by electrical power wire thought forms and intercepting alien transmissions. It is chaotic, it's industrial, and it is distinctly hostile.
And this raises a really important question. Why the difference? If we connect this to the bigger picture of both source texts, we have to look at the psychology and the neurology of the altered states themselves.
Okay, break that down for me.
So, your brain is essentially a predictive engine. It takes in sensory data and uses your past experiences to build the reality you perceive every single second. When you shatter that predictive engine with a chemical catalyst, your brain scrambles to make sense of the overwhelming raw data of the universe. So, what tools does it use to build the avatar of that experience?
Its surroundings.
It's exactly. It uses your immediate environment and the specific chemical you ingested.
Oh, wow, that makes total sense. Because McKenna is a highly educated academic. He is in a safe space, using a naturally occurring ancient shamanic compound DMT.
Yep.
So his brain builds a framework of organic, collaborative creation. Elves, eggs, singing.
Yes, exactly. Now look at Luke and Glenn.
Right.
They are teenagers existing in the bleak, isolated, industrial sprawl of Lancaster. Their catalysts weren't ancient organic plants. They were inhaling the literal chemical byproducts of modern industrial society.
Like tetrafluoroethane from computer spray?
And dextromethorphan from cough syrup.
So of course their fifth-dimensional aliens reflect that. I mean, if your brain is drowning in synthetic inhalants while surrounded by humming power lines and desert dust, it's not going to conjure a merry elf.
Not at all.
It's going to conjure a neutral, electrical, drugged alien death god. The architecture of the fifth dimension might be exactly the same, but the inhabitants look and act like the localized culture and chemistry of the observer.
Exactly. The chemical dictates the avatar. But realizing that the architecture is the same forces us to look at how these individuals navigated that space. Both sets of texts are obsessed with the mechanics of moving through this impossible reality.
Yes, and the FSM texts don't just describe the aliens, they detail a complete, deeply terrifying physics engine for this reality.
They really do.
Which introduces what I think is the most complex concept in their entire lore, the Krivos block, or crevice block.
It is absolutely foundational to their mythology. The FSM text defines a Krivos block as a break in reality.
See, I need to challenge that. A break in reality. Are we just talking about a really strong hallucination, or are they claiming the literal physics of the room are changing?
They are describing an information paradox. The text explains that a Krivos block occurs when you encounter something you absolutely know is impossible.
Like what?
It gives the specific example of a change in information you've already received in your lifetime. Imagine knowing for a fact that you locked a door, you saw it locked. And in the next second, the universe overwrites that data, and the door has never been locked.
Oh man, your predictive engine completely fails. The rules of your reality just snapped.
And when that snap happens, a literal crevice opens up in your perception of space and time. The text says this crevice immediately fills with the torrential movement of pure differentiation.
Okay, pure differentiation. What does that actually mean in practice?
Think of consensus reality as a solid block of ice. Everything is frozen in its designated place.
Right.
A Krivos block is a massive crack in that ice. Pure differentiation is the unfrozen, chaotic water rushing in to fill the crack. It is raw, unassigned potential. It is an endless wave of conflicting possibilities hitting your consciousness all at once.
And the insane part is, the FSM writings explicitly tell you what to do when that terrifying wave of unassigned potential hits you.
What do they say?
They say, quote, ride your Krivos block like a wave surfer.
Yes. They treat this existential break not as a nightmare, but as a mechanical exploit.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This act of surfing the pure differentiation is called fight placement. The text claims that if you successfully surf this Krivos block, whatever happens next is whatever you want it to happen.
You are imposing your will onto a wave of pure impossibility.
It is exactly like finding a glitch in a video game's physics engine. Normally, a glitch crashes the game, but if you're a speedrunner, you jump on the glitch, exploit the broken code, and surf it right through a wall to reach a part of the map you were never supposed to see.
That is a perfect analogy, and it explains the term fight placement.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about that. Why fight? Who are you fighting?
You are fighting the simulation itself. When reality breaks and pure potential rushes in, the universe's natural tendency is to crush the anomaly and reassert order.
Right, it wants to fix the glitch.
Exactly. You are fighting against that cosmic inertia. You are violently placing your will into the crevice to maintain the glitch. However, the text is acutely aware of the danger here. Surfing a Krivos block carries a massive existential risk, which they call the death trap.
Right, because what happens if you slip off the surfboard?
The problem arises when the illusion of control shatters. You think you are the one surfing the wave of impossibility, fighting the system. But the text warns, I could not even exist, though I was still existing. Whatever formed me could still be true for my reality. This was me in my own death trap.
That is horrifying. You trigger a glitch, you try to surf it, and suddenly you realize you aren't the player exploiting the game. You are just a piece of the broken code being manipulated by the Starcle Manee. You lose your agency completely.
It is the ultimate loss of self. So the question becomes, if you successfully catch this wave of pure impossibility, how do you maintain your agency? What is the actual mechanism of surviving the death trap?
And this brings us to the most incredible narrative in the FSM lore. We actually have a story detailing exactly how to survive this. It flows perfectly from the theory of the Krivos block straight into the applied practice.
We have to look at the inhalant trick detailed by Luke.
Right. The story puts Luke out in a drainage ditch off Avenue D with two friends. They have a can of tetrafluoroethane, Luke takes a hit, and then another. And the way he describes the onset is textbook ego dissolution.
Oh, completely.
He says the sound and the vision mixed together into a cartoony kaleidoscope. His awareness of his physical body fragments entirely.
He has initiated a Krivos block. The reality of the drainage ditch is cracked, and the pure differentiation is flooding in.
Exactly. And as he is drowning in this cartoony, pulsing world of impossible data, he notes that little characters go about their business and move toward him.
The entities have arrived.
The entities are here. And he realizes, in that moment, it is time to play the game of talks.
The game of talks. This is perhaps the most profound mechanical explanation of interacting with fifth-dimensional entities in any of these texts. It is explicitly described as a cosmic game of timing.
The text says this game is played against the universe, the other, the combatant, the enemy. So he is in the fight placement.
Yeah.
But he's not fighting with his fists. How does he actually play this game?
He uses an incredibly grounded analogy to explain an incomprehensible action. He compares it to watching a TV sing-along, where a bouncing ball hops across the lyrics on the screen to show you exactly when to sing the word.
Oh, like karaoke.
Yeah. The entire goal of the game of talks is to predict exactly when that cosmic ball will touch down. You are predicting the exact, mathematically perfect now.
So it's a rhythm game. He is anticipating the absolute temporal beat of the universe.
Yes, and when he is locked into this state, down in the drainage ditch, he says he knows he's been there forever, and he states definitively, I have never lost a game of talks.
Wow.
He hits the timing perfectly. He says, I predict now. It hits just then. I got it, now.
He hits it twice, 3 times in a row. And the entities, these alien combatants, they try to trick him. They hold off for 13 units of time, trying to mess up his rhythm, and he still hits it. Now, got it.
Yeah, his focus is absolute.
He even boasts they could wait 20 years and he would still nail the exact downbeat.
And what happens when he successfully predicts the now?
He achieves what he calls the ecstasy of the universe. Everyone involved in it, the alien entities, the fabric of the simulation itself, is giddy with the fact that he gets it right. It is a moment of pure, total synchronization with the impossible.
Which is a brilliant synthesis. He is utterly disconnected from consensus reality, completely flooded with pure differentiation, yet he survives by finding a profound underlying rhythm to the chaos.
Okay, this is where we bring everything together. We have all the puzzle pieces on the board right now. We have McKenna's machine elves and their visible 5D language made of obsidian froth.
Yep.
We have FSM's Starcle Manee, their reality-breaking Krivos blocks, and the rhythmic survival mechanic called the Game of Talks.
It's all there.
So it is time to answer the ultimate question for you, the listener. Based on the physics of all these texts, can we ride a Krivos block wave on Machine Elf Surf? And can we play the Game of Talks while doing it?
If we synthesize this lore strictly based on the mechanics provided, the answer is unequivocally yes. And the way these concepts interlock is genuinely staggering.
Okay, I want us to really piece this together. Let's start with the wave itself. A Krivos block is a crack in reality that fills with a torrential wave of pure possibility. But what is that wave actually made of?
Well, let's look at McKenna. He explicitly describes the underlying structure of the fifth dimensional space as a wave, or a system of resonances that conditions all events.
Right. He says this wave is what causes atoms to be atoms and minds to be minds. It is the raw code of the universe.
Furthermore, the machine elves produce a visible language, the obsidian froth. That froth isn't just words, it is the physical manifestation of reality being generated. Therefore, the machine elf surf is exactly that, the torrential, visible, fractal wave of ecstatic nostratic.
Wait, so if a Krivos block is a wave of unassigned potential, and the obsidian froth is the raw material of reality being spoken into existence, the obsidian froth is the pure differentiation. They're the exact same substance.
Exactly. When reality breaks, the crevice fills with the obsidian froth of the machine elves. You use fight placement to jump on your board and ride that wave of fifth dimensional visible language. You are surfing the elves' reality generating song.
You are riding the impossibility. Now, while you are on that wave, balancing on the broken code of the universe, you are fully immersed in that high-definition, kaleidoscopic state. You are face-to-face with the fifth-dimensional entities.
And as we established, the avatar of those entities just depends on the catalyst. If you brought ancient shamanic intent to the beach, you see self-transforming Fabergé eggs.
Right.
But if you brought a can of computer spray from the Lancaster Desert, you see the neutral Starcle Manee.
But the mechanics of surviving the wave remain exactly the same. How do you communicate with them? How do you prevent yourself from falling into the death trap and becoming a victim of the simulation?
You play the Game of Talks.
Yes, because think about what McKenna said the elves want you to do. They want you to sing yourself into existence. They want you to participate in the visible language. And what is the fundamental requirement of singing in a choir?
Rhythm. You must synchronize with the frequency.
Exactly. The Game of Talks isn't just a combat mechanic, it is the navigational engine for McKenna's visible syntax. You are watching the bouncing ball of the universe skip across the obsidian froth. You are feeling the resonance of the wave, and you predict the exact moment the ball hits the lyric. Now.
Now. You are hitting the exact temporal now, alongside entities who are singing reality into existence.
And if you hit it, you achieve the ecstasy of the universe, you win the game, you maintain your agency on the surfboard, and you don't drown in the death trap.
The Game of Talks is the rhythmic engine that keeps the surfer perfectly aligned with the fractal wave of impossibility.
So what does this all mean? We are talking about highly abstract, admittedly bizarre concepts born from intense, drug-induced altered states. But when you strip away the wildly different aesthetics of the desert punk and the Berkeley academic, the structural similarities are just staggering.
It reveals a profound cognitive architecture. Both Terrance McKenna, a highly educated academic traveling the globe, and the kids in Five Starcle Men, isolated in the suburban decay of the high desert, experienced absolute disruptions of consciousness.
And in both cases, their minds refuse to just accept meaningless chaos. they build intricate mechanical frameworks to explain what's happening to them.
Whether it's McKenna's time wave theory and fractal resonances, or Luke and Glenn's Krivos blocks and fight placement, the human mind desperately wants to build rule sets. It creates games like surfing reality breaks or predicting the bounce of a cosmic ball to map and understand the utterly incomprehensible.
It is the deeply human need to make the murky waters of the unknown somehow navigable. We want the universe to be a machine we can understand, even when the machine is made of bouncing Fabergé elves and indifferent alien death gods.
And that leads to one final thing for you to ponder long after this deep dive ends. Consider this. Both McKenna's visions and FSM's lore heavily feature language, rhythm, and timing as the ultimate building blocks of reality.
Right.
For McKenna, it was visible syntax and the resonance of the time wave. For FSM, it was the bouncing ball rhythm and the exact prediction of the now in the Game of Tops. If these entirely different people using entirely different chemical substances in completely different social and geographic contexts both ultimately concluded that the underlying fabric of the alien universe is fundamentally just rhythm and syntax, is it possible they didn't just hallucinate? Is it possible they actually peeked behind the exact same cosmic curtain?
Man, that is a wild thought.
Because if the predictive engine of human consciousness is broken, and the diagnostic landscape is nothing but chaotic noise, finding the exact same hidden rhythm in the static might be the most precise measurement of reality we have ever made.